Growth of British influence. In order to bring the whole of India under its domination, the British adopted some novel expansionist strategies. During the second half of the 18th century, kingdoms of Mysore and Maratha were the biggest threat to British rule. The company launched wars against both. Mysore. Mysore emerged as a powerful state under the outstanding leadership of Hyder Ali 1761 to 1782 and his son Tipu Sultan from 1782 to 1799. Mysore controlled the profitable spice trade of the Malabar coast. In 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom and prohibited local merchants from trading with the company. Tipu Sultan established friendly relations with the French in India and modernized his army with their assistance. The British and the Deccan states perceived Hyder and Tipu as a threat. This led to the four Anglo-Mysore wars between 1767 and 1799. In the First Anglo-Mysore War, Hyder Ali gave a crushing defeat to the British. He signed the Treaty of Madras with the British in 1769, according to which both sides would help each other in case of an attack by a third party. In 1770, the Marathas attacked Mysore, but the British forces did not help them. This enraged Hyder Ali and he defeated the British in the Battle of Pollilur. Hyder Ali died in 1782 while fighting the English forces in Chittoor, but his son Tipu Sultan continued the war. The Second Anglo-Mysore War ended in 1784 with the Treaty of Mangalore. The Third Anglo-Mysore War was a result of Tipu's attempts to restrict the British spice trade on the Malabar coast and his increasing proximity to the French. The British, led by Lord Cornwallis and supported by the Nizam and the Marathas, defeated Tipu. He had to pay a huge fine and a part of his kingdom, while two of his sons were taken hostage by the British. Governor General Lord Wellesley proposed that Tipu should accept the subsidiary alliance. Tipu outrightly rejected his proposal, which led to the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Tipu Sultan died in 1799 defending his capital, Seringapatnam. After Tipu's death, the British annexed his kingdom, placed Mysore under Vodriars, the former ruling dynasty, and imposed a subsidiary alliance on the state. Marathas. After their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas became weak. There emerged different seats of Maratha power under different dynasties such as Gaikwads, Holkars, Bhosles, and Sindhyas. They were held together into a confederacy under the Peshwa, principal minister based in Pune. After the 1770s, the power struggle among the Maratha chiefs intensified. Taking advantage of their disunity, the British interfered in their internal affairs. This led to the three Anglo-Maratha wars between 1775 and 1819. The First Anglo-Maratha War, 1775 to 1782, broke out on the issue of succession to the throne of the Peshwa. The clash involved Madhav Rao II, supported by Maratha chiefs under the leadership of Nana Fadnis on the one hand and Raghunath Rao, supported by the British on the other. The united Maratha chiefs defeated the British forces. However, the British forces captured Ahmedabad and Gwalior. In 1782, peace was concluded by the Treaty of Salbai. The British recognized Madhav Rao II as the Peshwa. The Second Anglo-Maratha War, which was from 1803 to 1805, happened because the British under Lord Wellesley tried to impose a subsidiary alliance on the Sindhyas and Bhosles. They resisted and declared a war on the British. They were eventually defeated and had to accept the subsidiary alliance as well as part with the territories of Ahmednagar and Broch. The British also attacked the Holkar ruler of Indore, but the war did not lead to a decisive result as Lord Wellesley was recalled to England and peace was concluded with the Holkars. The Third Anglo-Maratha War from 1817 to 1819, Peshwa Bajirao II tried to unite the Maratha chiefs against the British. However, Maratha forces lost. The office of the Peshwa was abolished. Baji Rao II was deposed and pensioned off to Bithur near Kanpur. All his kingdom as well as territories of other Maratha chiefs were annexed by the British and they were not allowed to maintain an army. British expansion under Lord Wellesley 1798 to 1905. Lord Wellesley, who was the Governor General of India from 1798 to 1805, extended the British influence in two ways. First, subsidiary alliances. Second, direct wars. Subsidiary alliance. As per the subsidiary alliance, ruler had to disband his own army and maintain British troops permanently at their cost or cede some territory in lieu of it. In case rulers failed to make payments, a part of the territory was taken away as penalty. Second, accept a British officer called the resident who would be stationed at the ruler's court. A resident was a political or commercial agent whose job was to further the British interest. Third, expel all other foreigners from his territory. And the last one, consult the British before negotiating with any other Indian state. The Nizam of Hyderabad was the first to enter into a subsidiary alliance with the English in 1798. In 1801, Lord Wellesley coerced the Nawab of Awadh to accept the subsidiary alliance. Peshwa Bajirao II signed a subsidiary alliance at Besan in 1802. Many Rajputana chiefs also accepted British supremacy and signed treaties. The Indian rulers who accepted this alliance lost all their independence. They could take no independent decisions. In addition, they had to maintain the British army. This was a great financial drain. To make matters worse, the residents' demands also had to be fulfilled. On the other hand, it proved very advantageous to the British. Now they could maintain a large army at the cost of others. The military and foreign affairs of the alliance partner directly came under their control. Through the resident, they could exercise control even in internal matters. Finally, territories of Indian rulers could be annexed at any point of time. This led to development of a new power bloc in the politics of India, and ultimately the British became the supreme political power in India by their policies. British expansion under Lord Dalhousie 1848 to 56. Doctrine of lapse. Like the policy of subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie to annex the Indian states. According to the doctrine of lapse, a dependent state would pass into British hands if the ruler died without a natural son or male heir. It did not recognize the right of adopted children to inherit the throne. Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur, Jhansi were all annexed under this policy. Annexation of Awadh. In 1856, Awadh was annexed by Lord Dalhousie on the pretext of misgovernance. The ruler of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah, was deposed, and this enraged the people of Awadh. They joined the Great Revolt of 1857, about which you will read in the next chapter. Annexation of other states. Dalhousie annexed a part of Sikkim in the 1850s on the pretext of ill treatment to the company's employees. The Nizam of Hyderabad had to give away Berar as he failed to meet some financial obligations. Administrative structure. The British government realized that to maximize its profit and to strengthen its hold over India, it required an efficient system of administration. Therefore, they divided their territories into administrative units called presidencies, similar to today's states. There were 3 presidencies: Bengal in Kolkata in Bengal, Madras, Chennai, and Bombay, Mumbai. And each was ruled by the governor. The supreme head of administration was the Governor General. Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of British India. The district was looked after by the collector, who was responsible for collection of revenue and for maintaining law and order. He supervised the day-to-day working of the district administration. The collectorate emerged as the new center of power in the district. Civil services started by Lord Cornwallis were meant to manage the Indian territories. After 1853, civil servants were selected through a competitive exam held in London. Prior to that, the company directors nominated civil servants. Satyendranath Tagore, brother of Rabindranath Tagore, was the first Indian to join the Indian Civil Services (ICS). The police assisted the collector in maintaining law and order. The districts were divided into thanas managed by a daroga. In towns and villages, there were kotwals and chowkidars. The district superintendent of police was head of the police force, like it is in nowadays. Judiciary. Prior to the advent of the British, the justice system of India was based on local customs and traditions. Therefore, there was no uniformity. From 1772, a new system was introduced wherein 2 courts, criminal courts, Faushdari Adalat, and a civil court, Diwani Adalat, were set up. The civil courts were presided over by a European district collector, while criminal courts were still managed by Qazi and Mufti. As per the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court and a Sadar Nizamat, that is Court of Appeal, were established at Calcutta, that is Kolkata. For the convenience of European judges, in 1775, a digest of Hindu laws, and in 1778 a code of Muslim laws were prepared. Finally, in 1883, a law commission was set up to codify the Indian laws. This eventually led to the compilation of Indian Penal Code, that is IPC. Army. The British required a large army to defend its trade, expend and defend its territories, as well as put down internal rebellion by Indians. The British Army included European soldiers and Indian sepoys. From Hindi, word sipahi means soldier, sepoys means sipahi. But Indians could at the most become a subedar. Each presidency had its independent army. The British recruited peasants as sepoys and gave them European-style training. From the 1820s, the cavalry requirements of the company's army declined. They were trained to use muskets and matchlocks. This was when the British Indian Army was fighting wars in Burma, Afghanistan and Egypt. The soldiers had to keep abreast of the latest requirements at warfare. The infantry regiments now became popular. A uniform military culture was introduced in the early 19th century, with the soldiers being introduced to the drill and discipline that regulated their life. However, some problems followed this change as caste and community feelings were not given priority when professionalism was introduced among soldiers. Conclusion. By 1857, large territories had been directly brought under the British rule. The British, due to their political domination, freely exploited India. Later, this economic exploitation was critically examined by Dadabhai Naoroji in his work, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. The British took advantage of the political disunity and established their colonial rule in India. Thank you.